Our engine transmission had failed less than 24 hours into our journey to Bultulko, and so we had to turn back for Marina Chapas.
Day 3, dead in the water, no engine, no wind, just drifting along. The engine is seeming to basically work for about an hour, maybe a little bit longer, if you keep it below about 1,000 RPMs. And yeah, when it works, we're able to go about like 1.5 knots, and then it'll eventually shut itself off. And without wind, then we just sit for a while until we're able to get it going again, and then maybe it works for a little while, maybe it doesn't. Hopefully the wind picks up a little bit and we can actually make a little bit more ground.
This is the kind of wind we have to work with today. Casi nada. The big positive from this trip was that we were forced to sail. So normally in light winds in the past, we would have turned the engine on. Going 1 knot with the sails up wouldn't have been very satisfying for us. But this time we really had no choice. And so we were tacking a lot. We were adjusting the sails as much as possible to really try and get the maximum speed out of those really light wind conditions. So I do think it was really, really good practice for us to sail in those types of conditions.
It's about 3 o'clock. Normally this time of the day is very windy. Not today, of course.
Captain's been seasick again. Yay! Never been seasick before. Now this whole trip. So this experience really was hard. We were both seasick almost every day. Me in particular, I somehow managed to be seasick almost the entire trip. But Jim also got seasick periodically through it. And so you've got to imagine being seasick. We were in 2-meter kind of rolling swells most of the time, so the boat was moving around a lot. Really light winds, so it's extremely hot. The sun was just like beating down on us. It's a good recipe for getting really, really exhausted, especially because we were trying to get the most out of sailing, which meant we were constantly up adjusting sails. And when you were trying to rest, because the winds were so light, you were really getting rolled around a lot, and the boat was making a lot of noise because the sails would be flapping, that kind of thing. So we got really tired, and the more tired you get, it becomes harder to make, decisions, and things seem more daunting than perhaps they actually are. So yeah, it was definitely a learning experience in terms of just kind of mentally coping with the situation as well. Knowing that once we got back, we would have to deal with whatever had happened to the engine definitely was playing on my mind. But honestly, in the moment, for the most part, I was really just focused on getting back. Like, I wasn't really thinking that much forward of just not having to be in that ocean and not having to be seasick anymore. Chuffed handled so well in these conditions. Our sailing experience in the past had been with an oversized head sail. It was really too big for our purposes most of the time. We didn't have the lazy jacks. We didn't have a very good sail bag. The keel was crooked because the axle was broken. We didn't have the dagger board. And so the difference after the haul out really was profound. Chuffed sailed so well. She was a lot faster when we did get good winds. She was sailing really well. One of the biggest differences we found was when we were tacking, the sail wasn't getting caught every single time because our other sail was so big. It would always get caught up in the stays and someone would have to go to the front of the boat and swing it across. Whereas this time we were able to tack back and forwards easily, just the two of us, which was really cool. And getting the head sail up and down, which we had to do, the main sail up and down, which we had to do quite frequently because the winds were so light and at times it was too light to even have the sail up. The lazy jacks just made that a lot easier for one person to do. So we were really, really happy with how she handled. Alright, it's the end of the third day. You can kind of see we're getting pretty close. We're kind of about, it's probably like 16 nautical miles, but we're going between 2 and 4 nautical knots right now, which means that, you know, it could take quite a while just to get that far. And we haven't really decided yet exactly what our plan is, because originally we were considering being towed in because just with having no engine. We have sailed in before during the test sail, so I guess we could, but yeah, so that was what we were originally planning, but we haven't been able to get in contact with anybody, so we're not sure if that's what we're going to do. Otherwise we could attempt to sail in, or at least sail close enough, since we can use the motor just a little bit, not very reliably, but we are able to kind of get like 1 or 2 knots with it. So that's another option, is we just get close enough to be able to do that to get in the entrance. Yeah, we're not really sure yet. We're just going to play it by ear as the night goes on, and based on how comfortable it is out here and what the weather's doing and, you know, all that jazz. So yeah, probably won't do any filming though because it'll be dark and we'll probably be tired and focused. All right, we're hoping though, at the very least by tomorrow morning we'll be in. If not tonight, hopefully, we'll see. Okie dokie. That final night approach was really difficult as well. We were both really tired, obviously, by that point. It had been multiple days without the engine, hand steering, changing sails all the time. And the night approach was no different. We were having to tack a lot. And we were also getting storms all around us, so we thankfully weren't in a storm at any point, but they were all on every horizon around us. It felt like there was a squall, and so the wind direction kept changing as well. And we also wanted to try and avoid the squalls, so if we were going in one direction and it seemed like we were kind of heading towards the squall was, we would try and turn and not go towards it. And then at some points, particularly towards the early hours of the morning, we just had no wind at all, and it meant we actually drifted further and further away from our destination after spending many hours and hard work trying to get as close as possible. So it was really frustrating, and especially because we didn't know what would happen in the morning. We didn't know if somebody was coming for us. We didn't know if we'd have to try and sail in. That was kind of always in the back of our minds, was what do we do when we do finally get closer, because trying to sail in light winds, knowing that your motor may not work through a pretty narrow channel, is kind of a daunting experience in of itself. So yeah, that was definitely playing on the back of our minds all night as well. It's about 6:30 on the third morning, I guess. And yeah, we're only about 3 miles from shore, but we've been like 5 miles from shore for the last 12 hours. So yeah, we're trying to get in. We had no wind for periods last night, and we're trying to see if somebody can come out and just tow us this last little bit, but we're just not really getting many answers about that, so we're just going to try and sail in as close as we can. If we get the opportunity to sail in, great. If not, then hopefully someone can come soonish for us, so we will see. After tacking for the better part of 3 hours, the opportunity to sail never arose. With very light and varied winds, we just couldn't get close enough. Thankfully, Ronnie from Marina Chapas came out to meet us only 1.5 miles from the breakwater to tow us in. So we're very slowly getting towed in, just being very careful because we don't want to run at the back of them, and obviously the big breakwaters here. Luckily there's not big waves today. We made it back to the dock in a state of exhaustion, which resulted in a few failed attempts to film an ending. We made it back. Oh, I can see your bum crack.
Me to hold it, or is that?
Yeah, if you want to.
Thing.
After 4 days at sea, we needed 2 days to get our land legs back and rest our tired bodies before we really checked out the engine. We had the mechanic out and he diagnosed a problem with the clutch and the bearings within the transmission. However, that wasn't Janet's only problem, and after a lot of discussion and research, it was decided that a new engine was the way forward. Thanks to all of you, we have a new Yanmar on its way. Although this isn't the outcome we had planned, we're keeping really busy and are excited to take you on more animal and boating adventures. And don't worry, we'll be heading off in Chuffed again very soon. If you've enjoyed these videos, please consider becoming a patron. And until next time, stay chuffed everybody.